So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name is Baron Grant and I'm wrapped to be with you for another day, another tip, another secret, another trick, something that's going to help you to be able to lose all the weight you want and keep it off for the rest of your life. Now today we're talking about reasons you shouldn't eat just before you go to bed. But before I talk about that, make sure you head to ditchingthediet.com where you can download my book, you can get a program, you can book a call with me, and we can chat all things to do with what you're doing at the moment with your food and with your exercise and how you can change to actually lose all that weight and how I can help you on that journey. So if that's something you're interested in, click the button on ditchingthediet.com in the top right hand corner and we can chat on the phone. But eating late at night, is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? Well, it's not a great thing. Let's just start with that. And I want to talk through 3 reasons why you should not eat late at night if you're wanting to lose weight. Now, I do want to clarify something. Sometimes I talk to people on the phone and they say to me, they could be 120, 130 kilos, and they'll say, hey Baron, I think I'm overweight because I eat late at night. That's not why you're overweight. And this might sound really harsh. Does it play a role? Yep, it plays a role, but it plays this much of a role as opposed to this much of a role when you're getting overweight. Really, that comes from the choices of food that we're making every day. But does it play a role? Yep. And if you're eating late at night when you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to do the other thing, it does have an effect. And so you don't want to be eating, right before you go to bed. It's actually really unhelpful. So I'm going to talk through 3 different reasons why you should focus on getting your food in a little earlier. I'm not one for timing meals throughout the day. You got to eat 3 hours apart or anything silly like that. But it's not a great idea to be eating right before your head hits the pillow. That's not a great way to go. And here's 3 reasons why. Number 1, it will lead to disturbed sleep. Think about it for a second. When you put food in your mouth, it switches everything on. It's you telling your body that it's time to work. You think about it when you're driving a car late at night and you're driving along, where you're starting to get the drifting off. What's the first thing that you do? If you've got food, you shove that in your mouth because that makes you wake up, right? So whatever that food is, good, bad, indifferent, putting something in your mouth, what does it do? It turns on your brain. Energy gets you going again. It gets your metabolism kicking. Your body's trying to metabolize food, break it all down. So straight away, your body's awake, it's alive, it's engaged. And when you do that and then try to go to bed, the body's like, what are you doing? Why are you sending me 2 messages? You're telling me it's bedtime, but you're shoving food in your mouth. And so therefore, I'm not ready to go to sleep. So it will lead to disturbed sleep as your body is trying to process stuff that you've just put in your body. So it's turning your body on, it's turning your brain on, it's telling your body that it's not time to go to sleep. So that's number 1. You'll have disturbed sleep if you're eating late at night. And you might find that you are having disturbed sleep. Have a think about how late you're eating, and really you should give it 2 to 3 hours after you eat before you go to bed. So if you're going to bed 30 minutes, an hour after you've eaten, you probably want to switch that around a little bit and try and get a bit more of a gap before you go to sleep. That will help with your sleeping patterns. So that's number 1, disturbed sleep. The second one is poor digestion. So think about it for a second as well. So when you start eating before you go to bed, that's a problem as well, because if you say you eat half an hour before you go to bed, it doesn't give your body a good amount of time to digest your food. And the problem with that is that it causes stuff to sit around in your gut and your intestines longer. And so it builds up, particularly in your gut, it builds up more acid in your stomach. So that's not great, because then you're going to get that heartburn, the reflux, things like that happen. So if you're getting heartburn and reflux, it could be for a variety of reasons, but are you eating late at night? Maybe that's one of the reasons. Because it's not allowing your body to go to sleep. And so it's not going to be as switched on, as actively doing its job as it would normally do in breaking down all your food. So it causes an acid buildup, and then you'll end up having a reflux or some sort of heartburn that goes along with that. So that's number 2. So it's going to cause you digestive issues as well as disturbed sleep. Now the third one, it causes weight gain. And so eating late at night is unhelpful. Now, it's not going to be the difference between you putting on 20 kilos or not, or 30 kilos or not. That's not going to come really from eating late at night. That's the food choices more than anything that you're going to be dealing with. So always remember that. Don't get caught up in the story that it is, just because you eat late at night. That's not going to be the case. But it does contribute, because once again, when you go to bed, your body can't metabolize your food while you're asleep as well as what it does when you're awake. So your body's sleeping, it's resting, it's turning off all the unneeded things and just getting the heart to beat, and so you can breathe. All the life-saving things are being done while you're sleeping, so your body can actually rest. So it's not a good time to be putting food in your mouth, because it's not going to digest it too well, but then you're not going to have time to use the energy that you just put in. So what happens with excess energy when we put it in our mouths and we don't use it? It stores as fat pretty quickly. If your body can't use the energy, it has to do something with it. And a lot of the time that will go into your fatty acids and get stored as fat. So at night is not a good time to eat. Now, this can be challenging for people. It's not just at night, it's how late before you go to bed. So I want you to think about it from that perspective. Because not everybody works a 9 to 5 schedule. Some people work shift work. I talk to lots and lots of nurses all the time. I work with a lot of nurses, actually. Interestingly enough, so many nurses tell me how much bad food gets brought in, during night shift, from other nurses and other doctors and stuff. Lots of chocolate and chips and things. That's a story for another day. But when I work with these nurses, something that I hear very commonly is that they'll work a whole night shift. They'll come home 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever time they arrive home. They'll have a big meal and they'll head to bed, because that's effectively kind of like their dinner almost. They've been working all night and they're hungry. So what I would say to those people is, I bet you're tired, because working night shift would be a tough game. But try and eat a little earlier if you can. So if you've got home, maybe not earlier, but give a big gap, I should say, before you go to bed. And I would encourage, if you've got to have a bigger meal before you head back to bed, then go for a walk for 45 minutes or an hour after you've eaten your food. So you might come home, eat your food, go for a walk, just get your body using some of the energy that you put in. Because if we just put it in and head to bed, our body can't use that energy. It doesn't take a lot of energy to sleep compared to the energy it takes when we're active and doing things. So 3 things. Number 1, why you shouldn't eat late at night. It's going to give you disturbed sleep. It's going to give you poor digestion, or contribute to poor digestion, and that can cause a reflux and things like that. And it's going to contribute to your weight gain. So if you are in the process of gaining weight at the moment and you don't want to be, then that's something that you really should kick off the list, and give yourself 2 to 3 hours after you eat before you go to bed. That gives your body plenty of time to start working through that food that you've put in your body, and start using some of that energy because you're still up and about. So that's the tip for today. It's going to help you long term with your weight if you don't eat late at night. Remember, when you lose it, you're still going to manage it. You're still going to keep it off, right? So let's create some good habits. We don't need to be eating late at night, but it's habitual and it's comfy when you're watching Netflix or watching some sort of movie, but got to move away from that. Remember, food is for fuel, and we've got to put the good fuel in, and we don't want to put that fuel in right before we go to bed, because it's not going to help us sleep, it's not going to help our digestive issues, and it's also going to contribute to us gaining weight in a smaller way than the big stuff, but it's going to contribute. So we want to stay away from that. That's the tip for today. Can't wait to chat with you tomorrow. Stop eating late at night. You got this.